Hi folks, just want to put together a series of videos for use on our YouTube site and our Facebook page and website, and I'm hoping to open up a dialogue and discussion about the modern expectations of Aikido, why people engage with it, why they engage with it incorrectly and for the wrong reasons, why it's badly marketed, why people don't express exactly what that is they're going to be teaching as instructors, and all of this I'm hoping to cover within a good few series of videos. So anyone that wants to comment on it, please feel free. All I ask is listen to the full video before you do so, and don't just launch in with a tirade of nonsense, BS about what you think it is, what your perception of it is, what somebody else on the internet said it was, because I'm really not interested in that, to be honest. But I'm hoping to open up an honest series of discussions about this, because I've been training Aikido for over 30 years now, and I've been involved in martial arts for over 40. I hold a third dan karate and a third dan in Aikido, and the martial arts environment has changed drastically since I was first learning it as a kid, and how everything has changed and developed. You know, back then you had to, dig out an old paper and look into usually some sort of shop window to find an advert for martial arts classes. You had to travel anywhere up to 20 miles to go and find a class. You could only take what was available to you at the time, and you didn't have the same amount of choice, you didn't have the same amount of exposure as you get nowadays. And while that's a good thing that there are more martial arts out there, there's also a hell of a lot more crap out there. I'm going to be just cut straight to the chase with it. And Aikido is one of those martial arts that suffers as a result of this. Now, I'm very passionate about it, not just about the traditional aspects of Aikido, but also about the applied aspect of it, where when you strip back all the traditional stuff, what you're left with is the root core and fundamental aspect of a combat martial art. Now, a lot of people don't realise this, but Aikido itself is effectively a mixed martial art. It stems from Yagyu-ryu Jiu-Jitsu, Daito-ryu Aiki-Jiu-Jitsu, spear work, sword work, all that type of stuff. But you have to understand what it is you're doing in each of the circumstances that you encounter it. And that's what I want this one to be about. It's just to try and explain out there. Now, I'm not defending all the rubbish that's out there. There is some serious crap, I'm going to use that word again, guff, nonsense. Terrible, terrible stuff on the internet. If you want to experience good Aikido, find yourself a good club. Find yourself a genuine instructor. Find yourself someone who's not afraid to stand there and tell you, look, this is traditional Aikido. In fact, let's even take it a step further than that. Inquire and query what it is, what style of Aikido you're doing, because a lot of people don't realise there are at least 6 different styles out there, even more if you add in the fact that most instructors have a personal touch and a personal way of doing things. Some of them don't teach strikes, some of them don't teach weapons work, some of them don't teach all the throws until you're black belt, which is utter nonsense. You know, it's why show half a syllabus and then you get the other half of the syllabus when you've got your black belt and paid hundreds of pounds for the courtesy of that. Check how long it takes you to undergo training, check how often they're going to be training, ask if they do any mixed training, i.e. do they engage with other martial arts in the area, do they want to pressure test what they're doing, because that's a big thing and that's something I've always enjoyed doing. It shows up all the holes in the system, and then when you come to do the applied work, then you learn to strip back. Well, that didn't work, that got me a punch in the face, I'll remember that, and you learn to strip back all the stuff. But what's important is how people are marketing it. What you see online invariably is demonstration Aikido. So you have traditional Aikido, Aikido that's applied Aikido I call it, and or what some people call as practical Aikido, which winds me up because it's all practical, it just depends how you use it. Then you've got demonstration based Aikido. The most of what you see online is demonstration based Aikido. And what you'll see in that is it's 2 individuals at any one point, like a good martial arts movie. One runs in, somebody does a technique, they know what's going to happen in advance, or you're dealing with a highly trained uke, someone who receives the technique, who is able to adjust and adapt to whatever changes that the thrower is making. Okay, and it's important to understand that. This is not someone saying this is how effective Aikido is. This is a demonstration of body movement, of timing, of controlling your breath, of physicality, of endurance. It's not showing you this is what you do in a street situation. And that's one of the first things I do when a student asks me, what would you do in a street situation? Well, me personally, if I couldn't hit them with my car before I got out of that, I'd smack them in the face with a brick. That's basically my standard response. If I don't have a brick to hand, then I'm going to do everything I can to avoid that fight, particularly if there's more than one of them. It's just not happening, so it's pointless. Don't look at what you see online as the be-all and end-all of what Aikido is. Aikido is much more than that. It's a very in-depth technical martial art. Also, if you've studied another martial art in advance, not every Aikido club teaches strikes. Now, I come from a karate background and I enjoy putting strikes into it. If you look back on the history of Aikido, which I'm going to be doing in other sets of these videos, I'll be looking at how things are manipulated and altered depending on what style of Aikido you're studying. Some of them use martial art techniques such as elbows, strikes, palm strikes, eye attacks, throat attacks, nerve stuff, if you want to buy into all that kind of thing. Now, it can be very effective, but it's got to be used in the right way again, and your instructor has to know what they're talking about. So what we have with Aikido is we have a massive big melting pot of different techniques, different movements, and I've not even touched on sword work and staff work. I've not even begun to look into it and discuss with anyone how the movements of the weapons have to reflect the body movement. Because invariably, after 30 years, you get to travel around a bit, you get to see a lot of techniques. I see 99% of the dojo that I go to and that I've trained with, the weapons techniques are supposed to be there to allow you to enhance your physical nature of your unarmed techniques. But the way they stand for unarmed techniques and the way they stand for weapons techniques are completely different. So they may as well just be doing unarmed techniques, then throwing some hoops, or going a run, playing some baseball, maybe a game of chess, because it's as much use as that in a practical term of enhancing your Aikido qualities. In fact, you probably get more Aikido out of playing basketball than you probably would doing some of the weapon stuff that they show. It's utter crap. Again, I'm going to use the C word a lot. It's better than the S word that's actually in my head. So what I want to just touch on briefly here, and what I want to open up discussion for anyone that wants to reply to this or even look at this, is Aikido gets an incredibly bad press. It's seen as a fake martial art, and I agree with that 99% of the time. A lot of the stuff that we see now, however, that's in terms of its applicability based on the technique you're seeing, but then again, do you know the context that you're viewing that particular video clip in or that particular technique in? Invariably, what you're seeing is demonstration Aikido. Demonstration Aikido is not designed for a genuine situation. Dojo Aikido is all about building coordination, strength, timing, and manoeuvrability. Unless you take the time to actually set aside and move away from technical Aikido into applied Aikido, which is a completely different thing, and you'll probably find that a lot of the techniques are simplified. As I said earlier, there's a lot more hitting going on. There's a lot more strikes in it than you could ever imagine. And unless you can find someone who's in their experience has gone down that route, had a look at that route, tried out some of the techniques with established people who have good opposing technique, boxers, MMA, BJJ, things like that. If you want to do that, then you start to see there's a lot of interesting elements and correlations between how people move in those martial arts and what you do in Aikido. So you can see there where the different style and techniques that have been used will drastically affect people's perception of it. Unfortunately, Aikido is, well no, actually I'm going to take it back. Fortunately, Aikido is a cooperative martial art for the technical work. There's no resistance. Now you'll get guys coming on saying, yes, there's no resistance because we want to save the technique, and we want to save the life, and we want to save the dignity of the person we're training with, and we don't want them to feel bad, and it's about cooperation, and it's a spiritual martial art. I'll also run a video blog on Ki, because as a Westerner, myself included, we don't have a clue what that really is talking about. We all think it's all about spirituality. It's not really. And anybody that takes Aikido into a religious style pattern, you can discover, no, I'm sorry, I'll take that back. Aikido can be about spirituality. It cannot necessarily be about religion. That's something entirely different. And if you feel you're starting to get dragged into that, then you're on a slippery slope, my friend, and you need to get off it right now, because it's okay to be spiritual, and it's okay to take on board the spiritual aspects of Aikido, where you're looking to improve yourself, you're looking to do techniques that allow you to gain a sense of calm and a sense of centering about yourself. I've got a lot of guys that I've taught over the years who've been suffering from PTSD, either from military service, police service, prison service, A&E staff, that kind of thing. Guys who just want to find a little bit of comfort in themselves without feeling the pressure of, if I don't perform well, then I'm going to get battered about, when they've already suffered that trauma. And for those types of guys, that technical training is really important. It allows them to get their feet back under themselves. Then they can slowly start to test the waters, doing other things elsewhere. So that's a different aspect of Aikido. That's the kind of more spiritual, healing, personal development aspect of it. So I hope it's starting to come across that there's quite a lot of stuff going on when we talk about Aikido and traditional martial arts. Let's not just stick this one down to Aikido. Let's also put this down to all traditional martial arts, because a lot of them get panned nowadays. I can't switch on YouTube without some feckin' idiot going on about this martial art's fake, is this real, is this fake, I'll show you, I'll get somebody in, an expert in, to talk about whether or not this martial art is fake or not. And they'll compare techniques and they'll talk about all this stuff. Aye, right, sure. Yeah, does that make you feel better about yourself watching that, allowing people to comment on it, you know, throw inflammatory stuff about the place? You're not helping the world. Stop that crap. Get off your train. You're not that important. And just enjoy the training that you're doing. That's one of the most important things that we can do when it comes to martial arts. You know, it doesn't matter what you're training in. I'll go and train with guys and do boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, a couple of beatings in that as well. I'll go back, I'll train with some of my old karate fellas. I enjoy all that. That's why I do it. I'm not doing it to get one up in someone. I'm not doing it to show I'm superior. You know, but I'll always come back to Aikido, simply because it gives me a sense of self. It gives me a sense of peace of mind. I enjoy the training. You know, and that's the most important thing. And more importantly, I love teaching it on a full spectrum basis. So let's see how this one goes. I'm going to put it out there into the world. We'll see what comes back from it. The next one I want to look at is why people don't understand what they're looking at with Aikido very often. Don't get me wrong, again, and in this one I'm really going to be hammering some of the techniques that I see online, not to make myself feel better, but just because it's to put a critique on it on the basis of there is an awful lot of rubbish out there when it comes to Aikido, sadly. And for something that's very important to me as an instructor and something I'm very passionate about, I don't like to see that. And I'm sure any martial artist would feel the exact same way about something that they love, that they see being not necessarily misportrayed, but just badly reflected in the media. And so I'm going to look at that in the next video vlog and see how that goes. I'm trying to keep these things down to roughly about 10 to 15 minutes so that, you know, it's not just me rabbiting on like a crazy fool, which I'm not going to deny I'm not. So on top of that, if anyone's got any comments, I'd love to hear from you. Keep it clean. If you don't, I'm just going to remove it. I'll tell you that right now. If you want to get personal about it, I'm just going to remove it. I want to create an open and honest dialogue and discussion. And if you get negative experiences with it, please let me know, because that's something else I can talk about in a future video blog as well. And I would love to go down that route as to what could lead people into having negative experiences with Aikido. And I'm not talking about I went and did it and they said this type of thing and I tried it and it didn't work. Aikido doesn't work straight away. You know, it's years and years and years of technical practice before you can even think about applying it the same way as you could from a lot of other martial arts. I often joke that I could easily get a class of new students in karate, and within about an hour I've shown them how to make a fist properly, how to punch in a reasonable way, and how to perhaps, you know, feel as though they could hit something with reasonable accuracy and efficiency. When it comes to Aikido, that doesn't work. First you have to find that centre of balance, that centre of technical ability, and then you can learn to apply it. That's why it's best to go to it, I feel, if you've done something before and you're looking to explore other avenues of body movement, balance, unbalancing, you know, just different ways of working. And in that respect, that's where it really comes together as a fantastic martial art. So hopefully we'll hear from some of you. Hopefully some of you might actually watch it. And as I said, if you look for the next one, I'll try and do one every few days right now. I want to populate the site with a lot of it, and it's also here for the students as well. So I'd love some of my students to get in touch and let us know what they think. So until then, folks, it's still a COVID world out there, whether you believe it or not. Stay safe, stay well, you know, and look after each other. Cheers.